Hulk smashes through the city, but Thor's hammer strikes him with deadly fury, all because of a shocking misread mission. Citizens scream as lightning tears the sky, yet Hulk isn't the real enemy. Someone fed Thor the wrong intel. Hulk roars, confused and furious, smashing tanks and buildings while Thor hovers above, unsure who to trust. A shadowy villain laughs in the chaos, pulling strings, knowing his misinformation could destroy Earth's greatest heroes. When Thor finally realizes the truth, it's too late. Hulk is injured, and the villain's plan is already unfolding. Thunder and rage. The city was trembling, not from earthquakes or storms, but from a sheer force of Hulk's rage. Streets cracked, cars flew like toys, and the air was thick with smoke and fear. Citizens ran screaming, diving into alleys, behind overturned cars, anything to escape the green monster's fury. But above the chaos, Thor hovered, his hammer crackling with lightning, eyes glowing with divine intensity. Every nerve in his godly body screamed, "Stop the threat. Stand down, Hulk." Thor's voice boomed, echoing off the broken skyscrapers. Lightning shot from Mjolnir, slamming into the ground near Hulk, shaking the pavement like a bomb. Hulk roared in frustration, his massive fists pounding the street. The cracks expanded, a jagged web tearing through the city, and innocent people screamed in terror. But Thor wasn't just angry, he was misled. A voice in his ear, urgent and insistent, had claimed Hulk had gone rogue, that he had been corrupted, a danger too great for anyone to contain. Thor's mission was clear, his divine blood pumping with righteous fury. No hesitation, no second thoughts. His eyes locked on Hulk, and the godly hammer began its deadly descent. Hulk, confused, tried to explain with guttural growls and desperate gestures, but Thor heard only the voice in his ear. Wrong information, twisted lies crafted to ignite conflict. Mjolnir slammed into Hulk's chest with a thunderous impact, sending shockwaves down entire blocks. Windows shattered, fires ignited, and Hulk stumbled, stunned, not from anger but from betrayal he didn't understand. Civilians froze. Cameras caught every moment. Social media exploded in real time. Hashtag Thor vs. Hulk, hashtag City Under Siege, hashtag Hulk Rage. The world watched, thinking Hulk was the menace. Hulk, barely regaining his senses, swung back with all the force of his rage, smashing a nearby wall. Bricks, metal, and dust flew everywhere, but Thor was already airborne again, eyes blazing, ready to strike. As they clashed, lightning and green fury colliding, a shadowy figure watched from above. Hidden in the wreckage of a nearby skyscraper, the villain's grin widened. This wasn't an accident. Every piece had been orchestrated. The wrong intel, the manipulated signals, the planted chaos. Thor believed he was stopping a threat, and Hulk was nothing more than a pawn caught in the crossfire. Every strike Thor landed caused destruction beyond measure, each blow forcing Hulk deeper into confusion and anger. Hulk's growls turned into desperate roars as he tried to protect the few people left trapped under debris. "I'm not your enemy," his roar seemed to scream, but the Thunder God only heard the lie. And then, in a moment suspended between seconds, Thor's eyes flashed. Something didn't feel right. The intensity in Hulk's eyes wasn't malicious. It was pain, confusion, and betrayal. But before he could pause, another bolt of lightning surged from Mjolnir, smashing into Hulk's shoulder. Hulk stumbled, blood mixing with dust and sweat, and the city cried out in despair. The villain above whispered to himself, invisible to the world below, "Perfect. Let them tear each other apart. Let the god and the monster destroy the city while I watch. Soon, no one will question me. No one will stop what's coming." Thor hovered, catching his breath, heart pounding, gaze fixed on Hulk. He didn't yet realize he had been lied to, but the signs were there, hidden in the chaos, in Hulk's pained roars, in the way the city itself seemed to reject his fury. Still, the mission was clear: subdue the enemy, the wrong enemy. And in that terrifying, cinematic moment, as smoke, fire, and shattered steel filled the sky, Both Titan and God paused for just a heartbeat, each wondering if the other could somehow survive the coming storm. But the villain's plan moved forward, silent and deadly, and part one of this catastrophic clash ended with the city teetering on the edge of ruin. Misguided fury. Smoke hung heavy in the air, twisting around broken skyscrapers like restless spirits. Hulk stood amid the rubble, chest heaving, eyes wide with confusion and rage. His massive hands trembled, not with fear, but with the sheer frustration of being hunted by someone he called a friend. Every instinct screamed at him, this isn't right. Thor, he's supposed to protect, not destroy. Thor hovered above, Mjolnir spinning in his hand like a storm in motion. Lightning crackled, illuminating his godly armor, casting sharp shadows across the devastated streets. Hulk! Thor's voice thundered, echoing across the chaos. You've gone too far. Surrender now, or I will stop you. Hulk let out a roar that shook windows miles away. He smashed the pavement with his fists, leaving deep fissures. I am not your enemy, he bellowed, but Thor's gaze didn't waver. The message in his ear replayed in his mind. Hulk is a threat. Rogue, out of control. Trust nothing else. Thor believed it, and that belief made his strikes precise, deadly, and terrifying. The villain watched from the shadows, perched atop a shattered billboard, eyes gleaming. Every second of confusion, every strike of fury between the two titans played perfectly into his hands. Yes, yes, he muttered. Let them destroy everything around them. Let the city crumble. Soon, Earth will kneel, and no one will question why. As Hulk lunged, he tried to avoid civilian casualties. He smashed the street, sending chunks of asphalt flying, but always aimed where no one would be hurt. Thor's lightning cracked nearby, narrowly missing a group of survivors hiding behind a crumbling wall. Their screams echoed, mixing with the roar of battle, creating a symphony of chaos. Hulk's green skin shimmered under the flickering light of fire and electricity. Each movement was a dance of power restrained by conscience. He wanted to fight, but not destroy. Every blow from Thor forced Hulk further into desperation. The ground itself seemed to rebel against them. Cracks snaking through the city like veins, sparks flying from ruptured gas lines, fires erupting with every clash. Thor's chest heaved, his eyes scanning for threats. He saw Hulk's strength, his raw, uncontrolled power, and it terrified him. But still, the voice in his ear dictated his actions. This is the enemy. Stop him. So he struck again, Mjolnir colliding with Hulk's arm, sending a shockwave through a nearby skyscraper. Glass shattered, raining down like lethal diamonds, and the villain's laughter echoed above all. Thor, stop. You are wrong. Hulk's voice was a mix of pain and pleading. His fist slammed into the remnants of a police car, crumpling it like paper, but his eyes never left Thor's. Thor hesitated for just a fraction of a second, lightning crackling weaker in his grasp. That fraction was enough for Hulk to realize his friend was blinded by lies. Then came the first hint of doubt. Thor's vision caught something unusual, a small device flickering on a rooftop, transmitting signals directly into his ear. The voice he trusted wasn't human, wasn't friend. The realization hit like a hammer to his chest. Wrong information manipulated. I've been deceived. But before he could react, the villain's minions emerged from the shadows, mechanized soldiers armed with energy weapons. They surged forward, and both Hulk and Thor were forced to shift focus. Hulk roared, hurling massive debris at the attackers, his movements fueled by righteous anger and desperation. Thor unleashed a thunderstorm, lightning arcing with precision, scattering the minions like leaves in a hurricane. For a fleeting moment, the two titans fought side by side, not as enemies, but as allies against a common, invisible threat. Yet tension lingered, unspoken and heavy, as both knew how close they had come to destroying each other. The villain's laughter grew louder, feeding off the chaos. So predictable, so deliciously predictable, he hissed, hiding behind his energy barrier. They don't even realize how much damage has been done. Soon, The city will be mine, and they'll blame each other for its ruin. His plan was moving faster than anyone could intervene, and the wrong intel had nearly triggered a catastrophe beyond imagining. As night fell over the broken city, flames casting orange-red glows over shattered streets, Hulk and Thor paused. Exhausted, battered, their eyes met across the battlefield. Recognition, pain, and confusion flashed in Thor's eyes, while Hulk's gaze burned with pleading understanding. Both knew the truth would come too late to undo the chaos already unleashed. The villain vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a trail of destruction and mistrust. The city trembled, barely holding itself together, while the two titans stood amid the wreckage, silent, broken, and aware that this battle was far from over. Somewhere deep in the smoke, the villain's voice echoed like a curse. The war has just begun. Shadows of deception. The city lay in ruin, streets scarred with deep cracks, and buildings reduced to skeletons of steel and glass. Smoke swirled through the air like ghosts of the chaos, curling around overturned cars and shattered streetlights. Hulk stood amidst the wreckage, massive chest heaving, muscles trembling, not from exhaustion, but from frustration. He had not wanted this. He had never wanted to harm anyone. Yet every blow he threw, every crash he caused, made him feel like a monster in the eyes of the people he sought to protect. Thor hovered above, Mjolnir glowing faintly, lightning crackling at the edges. His face, usually resolute, now flickered with doubt. The truth was dawning, slow and painful. He had been deceived. Every strike he delivered had been guided by lies, every action a mistake born of misinformation. But even as the realization hit, the city's devastation weighed heavily on him. He could not undo what had been done. From the shadows, the villain observed with calculated delight. His eyes gleamed under the flickering neon, every twisted smile a reflection of his sinister satisfaction. Perfect, he whispered. Let them struggle. Let them doubt. The city bends beneath their rage, and they blame each other instead of me. He moved unseen, leaving behind traps and illusions to further fuel the chaos. Every misstep, Thor and Hulk took only tightened the villain's grip on the city. Hulk growled, his green form vibrating with restrained fury. He lifted a massive steel beam and hurled it toward a ruined vehicle to clear a path for civilians. I didn't mean this. His voice thundered over the crumbling streets. Yet Thor, still reeling from the betrayal, misinterpreted the action as aggression. Lightning leapt from Mjolnir, striking the ground dangerously close to Hulk, scattering debris in a deadly spray. The moment froze in cinematic tension. The two titans, standing mere meters apart, trapped between rage, confusion, and the cruel orchestration of an unseen enemy. Hulk's amber eyes locked on Thor's, pleading for understanding, while Thor's electric blue gaze searched for answers amidst the wreckage. For the first time, they were not fighting. They were trying to see through the chaos to the truth beneath it. But the villain was relentless. Explosions ripped through nearby buildings, sending fire and debris into the streets. Automated drones, armed with plasma weaponry, emerged from the smoke, targeting both Hulk and Thor. In an instant, the misdirected fury transformed into cooperation. Hulk swung massive chunks of concrete, crushing drones mid-air. Thor's hammer struck with precision, lightning splitting the smoke and flames, creating a deadly symphony of destruction aimed at their true enemy. Even as they fought side by side, tension lingered. Every glance, every misstep, reminded them that trust had been broken. Thor's voice, once commanding and confident, trembled slightly as he shouted, "Hulk, we've been deceived. I see it now." Hulk paused, muscles tensed, hearing both relief and pain in Thor's tone. But their brief unity was shadowed by the scale of destruction around them. People trapped under rubble, fires consuming city blocks, sirens wailing in the distance. The villain watched with cruel satisfaction as the two titans began to realize the truth. His plan had worked. The wrong information had led to maximum chaos, both in the city and in the hearts of the heroes. He had planted seeds of mistrust that could take far longer to heal than any physical wound. "So close," he whispered, yet still blind. "Soon, they will not even know who to trust." Hulk's growl turned into a frustrated roar, echoing through the broken streets. "Then find the liar." His words were simple, but filled with power and determination. Thor nodded, gripping Mjolnir tighter, his lightning now focused, no longer misdirected. The moment of revelation had passed. They would no longer fight each other. Instead, they would hunt the one who had orchestrated this chaos. As the night deepened, the city's skyline glimmered with flames and sparks, shadows dancing over broken streets. Hulk and Thor, battered but unbroken, moved forward together, scanning for the villain. Behind them, the devastation they had unintentionally caused stood as a grim reminder of the power of misinformation. And in the shadows, the villain's laughter echoed, fading but not gone, an ominous warning that the real war was only beginning. The villain's web. The city was a battlefield of fire and shadow. Smoke curled from fractured buildings, neon signs flickered through dust, and twisted metal littered the streets like bones from a long-forgotten war. Hulk and Thor moved cautiously now, side by side, muscles tensed, senses alert. Every step was measured, every breath a warning. The air itself seemed to hum with tension, charged by Thor's lingering lightning and Hulk's simmering rage. "They planned this," Thor said, his voice low, laced with frustration and anger. His eyes, usually calm, glowed with intensity as he scanned the ruins. "All the chaos, it wasn't you, Hulk. Someone wants us at each other's throats." Hulk's heavy chest rose and fell, his fists clenched and unclenched, shaking from the fight and from the weight of understanding. "I knew something wrong," he rumbled, voice deep and resonant. His amber eyes, normally full of raw anger, now reflected cautious clarity. "Find liar, stop," before more hurt. From the shadows, the villain's laughter cut through the silence like a blade. A figure cloaked in darkness appeared on the rooftop of a crumbling tower, energy pulsating from his gauntlets. "Ah, how predictable," he hissed, the words dripping with venom. The mighty god and the unstoppable beast finally awake to the truth. "But can you stop me before the city falls completely?" The villain's traps were everywhere. Mechanized drones, collapsing streets, hidden explosives, all orchestrated to confuse and divide. But Thor and Hulk had learned from the chaos. With precise coordination, Thor unleashed torrents of lightning to disable drones while Hulk smashed debris, creating protective barriers for civilians trapped below. Every action was calculated, every movement synchronized. For the first time in hours, they moved not as enemies, but as allies united by necessity and understanding. Despite their growing unity, tension lingered. Every glance between them reminded them of the destruction they had unwittingly caused. The city's cries echoed in their ears, a reminder of the power of deception. They had fought each other almost to ruin, but now the battle shifted toward the real enemy hiding in the shadows. The villain's eyes glowed as he watched, delighting in every step they took. "Yes, yes," he murmured. "Feel the weight of your mistakes. Taste the fear of those you sought to protect. Your anger, your mistrust, it only makes the game more fun." He raised his gauntlets, sending pulses of energy toward Thor. Lightning collided with his attack, creating a blinding flash that rattled windows blocks away. Hulk roared, leaping forward to intercept, smashing the energy pulse with sheer brute force. For a moment, the battlefield became a blur of motion, sparks, and roaring fury. Thunder met raw strength, metal twisted under force, and the villain's laughter echoed over the chaos. But in the eye of the storm, Thor and Hulk's eyes met, a silent vow passing between them. "We fight together now, no matter the cost." The villain's traps grew more complex, attempting to isolate the heroes, but each time, Hulk's instinct and Thor's precision allowed them to counter. They moved like a deadly symphony, destruction and defense flowing together. Yet above all, The shadowy enemy remained elusive, always just out of reach, a ghost mocking their every move. By the time the night reached its darkest hour, the city lay smoldering. Fires reflected in puddles of water and blood. Debris scattered across streets like scars on the earth. Hulk and Thor stood amidst the chaos, bruised, battered, but unbroken. They had survived the villain's manipulations, yet the true confrontation loomed ahead. The villain's plan was far from finished, and the city itself hung by a thread, waiting for the final strike. In silence, Thor gripped Mjolnir tighter. Hulk flexed his massive arms, and both stared into the shadows where the villain had disappeared. The tension was palpable, the calm before the storm. Every ruined street, every broken building, every panic scream, they were all marks of the war to come. The villain's voice lingered in their minds, a promise that Part 5 would bring the ultimate confrontation. Clash of truth. The city burned beneath a blood-red sky. Flames licked broken skyscrapers, and smoke twisted into dark spirals above the streets. Hulk's massive form stomped through rubble, eyes blazing with determination. Thor hovered above, Mjolnir crackling with thunder, a god ready to strike. Not his friend, but the true enemy this time. The villain had played his hand, and now the reckoning had come. From the shadows, the villain emerged, gauntlets glowing, energy pulsating with lethal intent. Finally, he hissed, voice dripping with malice. The mighty Titan and the god together. But can you survive the storm I've created? He unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, sending chunks of steel and concrete flying like deadly missiles. Hulk caught Thor mid-leap, using his massive body as shield, while Thor's hammer summoned a torrent of lightning to obliterate the villain's defenses. Every strike now was precise, calculated, a symphony of strength and strategy. Hulk smashed the villain's mechanical minions into molten rubble, while Thor's lightning tore through energy barriers, lighting up the city in a strobe of destruction. The villain staggered, momentarily shocked by their combined force, his confidence cracking. But he was cunning, and the traps he'd hidden across the city began to activate. Collapsing streets, exploding vehicles, and firestorms designed to separate the heroes. Hulk roared, swinging debris like weapons of war. Thor's hammer spun through the air, summoning thunder with godly ferocity. They moved as one now, instinctively, trust fully restored, every move synchronized. The villain's laughter turned to a shout of frustration as his plans began to crumble. His eyes widened as Thor's lightning struck him directly, Mjolnir's weight and fury unrelenting, while Hulk's fists smashed through his armor. Finally, with a titanic effort, Hulk lifted the villain high into the air while Thor's hammer struck with divine precision. A blinding explosion rocked the city, sending shockwaves that shattered windows and ignited the streets below. The villain screamed as he was hurled into the remnants of a skyscraper, trapped under debris, defeated. For the first time in hours, the city felt still. Hulk dropped to his knees, breathing heavily, green skin scorched and dirt-streaked, yet his eyes held relief. Thor landed beside him, Mjolnir glowing faintly, a god weary but victorious. They exchanged a glance, no words needed. The misunderstanding, the rage, the near catastrophe, it had all been overcome. As dawn broke, golden light spilled across the devastated streets. Civilians emerged from hiding, staring in awe at the battered but unbroken heroes. Hulk raised a massive hand in silent apology for the chaos, while Thor lifted Mjolnir, signaling protection and reassurance. The villain's traps lay scattered, defeated, his manipulation exposed and ended. For Hulk and Thor, the battle had been more than just brute strength. It was a test of trust, understanding, and restraint. And as the sun rose over the scarred city, one truth stood clear. Even gods and monsters can be deceived, but together they can rise stronger than any lie.